Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to have you guys back today. We're going to be making some green enchiladas. Stay tuned. Alright, let's get started. So I have my chicken breast, my tortillas, my chives, my cilantro, my poblano peppers, my tomatillos, my Muenster cheese, my onion, my garlic, and sour cream that I'm going to be using today. As always, we like to start by charring our chile poblanos, and I have about 3 that I'm going to be using today for my green salsa for the enchiladas. And we're going to just start flipping them over, getting them on a medium-high heat, and charring them per usual. This is just going to give them an even coat on each side. You want to make sure you check back on them consistently. Alright, let's go ahead and add our 3 cups of water into a large pot. Then once you have it at a medium heat, you're going to be adding your chicken breast. No seasoning, just the chicken breast right now. And then you're going to be continuing to check on your chile poblanos, making sure that they're evenly charred and they're just about ready. So I'm going to start about taking these out in just a couple of seconds. Alright, so my chile poblanos are now done. So I'm going to start by taking one by one and putting them in a plastic bag. What I like to do is once they are completed, I like to twist the bag and just allow them to steam for about 15 minutes. Alright, so for this next step, I'm going to be boiling about 2 cups of water and adding 20 tomatillos and allowing those to become to a boil. I leave them there for usually about 15 minutes. Awesome, now I'm going to be checking back on my chicken, and I do see that it's come to a boil, so I've added half an onion, about a handful of cilantro, and a whole garlic clove. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my salt. I always add the salt towards the end when I'm boiling the chicken. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of salt to the mixture and just allow it to finish off cooking for another 6 to 10 minutes. Checking back on my tomatillos, the way you can tell if a tomatillo is done is if it starts peeling back. That's when they're about ready to be taken out. Alright, so my poblano peppers are steamed and I'm going to start peeling them. I think this is a very therapeutic process. I enjoy peeling them, but once again, you want to make sure if you're not accustomed to, working with chilies, that you do wear some gloves, because throughout the day you might find yourself that your hands are burning a little bit, but that just depends on the heat of the chilies. Next up, we're going to start removing the tops off the chile poblanos. This is going to help us to be able to remove the seeds inside the chile poblanos. Now what I like to do once the tops are off, I like to slice them down the middle, and I'm going to be using my knife just to scrape the seeds out and doing this one by one. Alright, so now we have our poblano peppers in our blender, a third of an onion, 3 garlic cloves, a handful of cilantro, and we're going to be proceeding to add our tomatillos into the blender now. Now you want to make sure you leave some of the water left over from your pot, because you are going to be using that for your salsa and adding it to your blender. So give it just a second here. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and start adding some of the water that was left over into my blender. I'm only going to use it to fill about to the top over the tomatillos. You don't want it to overflow in the blender, so then you're going to be adding about a tablespoon and about a pinch of salt to your mixture. Alright, let's go ahead and start getting this mixed up and blended. So we're going to give it about a minute to a minute and a half just to make sure that there's no more seeds that we're seeing at the top. Everything's blended. We're going to go ahead and in a medium saucepan, we're going to add our sauce, and we're going to allow this to come to a simmer, just to really just get all the flavors from the salt, the cilantro, the onion, everything that you added. You just want it to incorporate well, and it's best served when it's heated up. I just enjoy this so much more on my enchiladas when it's nice and warm. I've removed my chicken breast off of the stove and I've added them into a large mixing bowl, and I'm going to start just shredding the chicken. I like to use the 2-fork method, just by pulling back and shredding some more. Gonna continue to do this until all my chicken is shredded. Now I'm gonna start warming up the tortillas. I like to do 2 by 2, and I'm just gonna be flipping them, putting them on the side, and continuing to warm them up. Alright, so our tortillas are warmed up, so let's start rolling our enchiladas. I'm going to be grabbing about a handful of chicken mixture, and then I'm going to be placing it on my tortilla towards the end of the tortilla, because you don't want to put it in the center because it's a lot harder to roll up. That's just my preference. And I'm going to be doing this one by one until we're done. Alright, so now that our enchiladas are nice and rolled up, I'm going to be going into the salsa mixture, and I'm going to be just generously pouring that on top of my enchiladas. You don't want to soak them to the point where they start falling apart. So I just like to coat them evenly. And then what I like to do once they're out of the oven and the cheese is melted, I'll pour some more salsa on top of them. So I've already started to cut my Muenster cheese into small slices, and I like to add them individually on each enchilada. The reason I do this is because if I were to just add the slices of Muenster cheese on top of the enchiladas, they kind of just stick together, and it's so hard to take them out when you're ready to serve. So I just like to do the extra step of just slicing it into small slices to cover each and every one of them. Your oven preheated to 385. You're gonna go ahead and put your enchiladas in for about 10 minutes. They're ready to serve, and I just like to make sure that they're nicely coated, the cheese is melted, and then what I like to do is add some sour cream on top of my enchiladas. I just like to smear it all over. Don't like too much sour cream on mine, but it's a preference, you know, whatever suits you best. Add some chives onto the top of my enchiladas for an extra crunch. This is totally optional. You don't have to, but some people like extra sour cream, extra cheese, extra salsa. However you want to make this, at the end it's your plate and you're the one that's going to be consuming it. But I do like to add extra salsa. So here is my finished product. I've went ahead and add a little bit of cilantro just for garnish. And I do want to thank you guys again for continuing to watch my videos. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you again.